Good day, guys. Hope you're all been well today. My name is Lockie, that's me. And today, welcome to my very first talk on a topic of ghost gear. So, in just a minute, I will highlight what is ghost gear, why does it impact us and our marine lives, as well as waterways, and how serious is ghost gear compared to the world. So, before I do all that, it I recommend you guys maybe take notes on this, and if you have any questions, queries, just drop it at the comment section below. But in other words, let's get into it. So, topic one, talk one on ghost gear. So, what is ghost gear? So, in my words, ghost gear is a term to describe any form of fishing gear that is lost or discarded into the ocean. And it's also referred to as plastic debris. So, it's associated with plastic pollution, and which it kind of haunts us for like years now and decades and still today now. So let me just write this down. So okay, so that's a definition. So you can drop it down now, take some notes for it, but let's move on to our second question. So why does it impact us and our marine lives as well as our waterways? So for this question, ghost gear, like I said, is a term to describe any form of fishing gear that is lost or it's discarded into the ocean. And it's also known as a form of plastic debris associated with plastic pollution. So, you guys heard of what plastic pollution is, right? Yeah, so you've seen on the news, TV, plastic pollution has, impacted millions and millions of marine debris as well as us and polluting our waterways. Same with ghost gear. But one thing that you guys don't know about ghost gear is that it covers 50% of the world's plastic pollution in our waterways worldwide. So, and that's big because like 50% is like half of the plastic pollution in our oceans. So, 40% is like plastic bottles, straws, and other things, and 10% is like other utensils such as fork, knives, plates. But 50%, how big 50% is like half the world, and it's still going till now. So, let me just write this down. So, oh yeah, and one thing that I forgot to mention to you guys is how it impacts us. So let's just say there was like a fish, right? And there was a piece of ghost gear which had like a hook and a little fishing line, right? Next time, if like a fish or a shark that ate that piece of hook and the fishing line, and next time if we consume that, we are more likely to be in risk of getting our mouths hooked, or we're getting our intestinal tract obstructed, and which could really it's really risky to us in a way that we would have end up in a hospital or like end up suffocating, which is a big problem to the world, which is why it's a this is why it's like a major issue in the world. So that's how it impacts us. So waterways. Yeah, so more than welcome to again write this down if you would like to. But in other words, I will move on to the next question. But yeah, so if you guys, one more thing, just a piece of advice. If you guys would like to look after, native animals, wildlife, in our worlds, in our backyards, we got to actually look after our own backyards because the way we look at the nature now, it used to be like back 200 years ago. There used to be no pollution, no suffocating of animals through human impacts. But now, how we kind of take away all the things from nature. Nature will turn it back on us because we didn't look after our own backyards. So, if you would like to save animals as well as saving us our lives, then we have to time to think about looking after our backyards and really reducing our carbon footprints because in that way we could also eliminate ghost gear as well. But in other words, third question. So, how serious is ghost gear compared to the world? It's really serious. Like I said, it's 50% of accounts 50% of the world's oceans. And the fact that how we are consuming these fish impacted by ghost gear really actually does put us in risk of consuming those ghost gears as well. But in the world, we've got in the US like there's 200,000 sea turtles die in the world. Die sorry, not in the world, but in the US itself every year. 200,000 sea turtles, like those marine turtles you see on TV, and how, people think how cute they are, but 200,000 sea turtles die in the US alone. Alone. Look how big that is. And that could be like 10 years worth of sea turtles hatching out of the eggs and going into the ocean. But it's also not just that, it's also been everywhere now, it's noted, because if you go to Svalbard in the Arctic Circle, you would see that ghost gear is out of the water and entangling land animals such as polar bears and foxes. While if you go down to the Henderson Island in the Pacific Ocean, you will see the shore are all full of ghost gear with pots and floats, with nets and trawls, as well as fishing gear. It's horrible to see, but let me just write down as well. Okay, so jot that down if you would like to take notes. But yeah, in other words, ghost gear is a serious one, and like here in Australia, we're working towards the local councils with governments to minimize the impact of ghost gear. Now with all these keen organizations such as Greenpeace and Sea Shepherd here in Australia, they're all keen to pick up ghost gear and stuff. And you see on Google Images, you'll see that they have been working really, really hard to tackle ghost gear and other marine debris in the ocean, and you would see like massive chunks of fishing nets just from one spot. You have like 200 miles worth of ghost gear from that ocean area. So look how like it's really crazy and serious how we have done what to the world, and it's time for us to take action of ghost gear. But now, and I would draw and demonstrate the cycle of ghost gear and how it's really polluted our waterways. So let me just share the screen right now. But yeah, if you're still writing, just pause the video and keep writing. But in other words, I will go into my whiteboard. Okay, so this is my whiteboard. Okay, so here's the cycle of ghost gear. So first of all, we have, let's just say this was a boat, all right? Let's just say this thing was our boat, okay? And there was a man fishing here, let's just say. And he was just fishing along, for hours and hours, and he left. And so let's just say he dropped a piece of ghost net, I would say. And this little piece of ghost net would have a big impact on our marine lives, because next step we'll see is that next time a fish comes along and it will get snagged in that ghost gear because its fins brushed past it, which would increase the danger of this creature, and in turn it would kind of drown them and suffocate them due to the fact that of lack of movement that the ghost gear had limited them. And after that, it's they've suffocated that individual, that fish, but it's not yet turned for the ghost gear. But that ghost gear still has more things to do. So once it's hit the floor of the ocean, like crustaceans such as crabs, oysters, mussels would feed on that carcass, which therefore gets snagged into the ghost gear too, due to the fact how small those holes are in the gap of the net. So after that, and over time, when they decompose into sand and stuff, this ghost gear will be free, and it would in turn goes back up into the ocean surface, which starts the cycle again. So by just telling and just remember, one piece of plastic takes millions of years to biodegrade, and it takes ages and ages, which therefore the cycle would start for like over a 10 years period time. It would still be going, and that will be its kill count will be so big that it would kind of endanger all these species of marine lives every day. But one thing that we could be hopeful of is if only us take action against ghost gear. Next time if we see one, if you guys are like fishing in our, local shores and stuff, next time if you see a piece of fishing gear like this one, you would want to go down and retrieve that fishing gear, put it back in your boat, and which therefore breaks the cycle over like 100 million years of time. Okay? And which kind of stops this little ghost gear from killing all over and over again. So, which really, helps our marine lives every day, as well as reducing the risk of harming us and polluting our local waterways. So just think about how the impact of ghost gear really impacts us and our waterways too. And in fact, ghost gear, it's 50% of the world, yes. But what I've learned about ghost gear is that, let's just say this was Earth, all right? This not so best drawing of Earth, but this ghost gear wraps around this Earth 500 times. So ghost gear accounts for wrapping up the Earth from top to bottom 500 times. Look how big this ghost gear is. It's like if you combine everything together, it'll be like what, like 5 million miles worth of this ghost gear. which is still under our seabeds still now, and still millions and millions and miles of kilometers of these ghost gears still remaining to be picked up. But yeah, so that's the cycle of ghost gear, and this is Earth being wrapped up by ghost gear. So, anyways, this concludes our presentation. Hope you've learned something today, and likewise, if you would like to, study this more, you may feel free to like pause the video, look at the cycle, as well as going in and out of forwarding and replaying what I've said and stuff. But anyways, yeah. So hope you enjoyed this video, and if you really like topics like these, please give subscribe. Um, you know, turn on the notifications bell. If you have any questions, queries, just drop down to the comments below. But anyways, I will see you later. Jyane.